All right.
Okie dokie.
We will be starting, Jorge, in 1 minute.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So for everyone who are with us today, welcome on board, and we are so happy to be back with our AAT. You can share on the live chat where you are from, and we have Jorge Gaitan today with us. I will start within 1 minute, and once again, welcome on board. You may spare a few minutes to read our structure for those of you who are not familiar with it in our chat box. All right, so we are going to start now, Jorge. I'm so pleased to have you with us on board today. People who are with us from Doha and from all around the world, welcome on board. In our 6th episode, we have a very special guest. He's Jorge Gaitan once again, and he is the director and the founder of Entreluz Studio in Colombia, where he is currently now talking with us virtually. It is actually an independent and international design practice that explores light and darkness, as Jorge likes to name it. And it focuses on, and these are mainly the essential elements for human life and behavior, as well as architecture and space configuration. Jorge is also an architect of light, as he likes to call himself. He is also a beautiful researcher, a professor, a speaker, and a lifetime student of light. So for Jorge, and for those of you who don't know, our interview will be a set of 10 questions with a duration of 1 hour. Our set is categorized in our chat. Jorge has also lectured extensively in South and Central America, in Europe, and in the Middle East, and he teaches the master's program in lighting design in Colombia. He is also a specialist in lighting, and this is what we will be talking about today. So let's make it a remarkable one. Off to you, Jorge, if you'd like to say anything before I start with my questions.
No, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here, and this is a topic that I really enjoy very much, not just from a professional point of view, but it is my pleasure, and light is my hobby. So thank you very much for having me here and for opening this space to talk about light in this period of time of quarantine, and whether people are more aware of some topics. So thank you very much, and it's a pleasure.
I'm so happy to have you virtually, and we can't wait to see you in real life. And I can't wait for people to hear all about your enthusiasm about light. So I'm going to start with my first category, which is specialization and expertise. I'd like you to share with us all about who Jorge Gaitan is. I mean, I would like everyone to know who you are. So this is my first question.
Okay, thanks. Well, I'm an architect and lighting designer. I started more than 20 years ago working with light prior to my master's degree in architecture. And light became the most important part of my life because I found in light a really nice design tool, a very, very strong design and powerful tool, not just to create a space, but to talk about people and to understand a little bit how light influences our lives and how really light shapes our lives. So as I told you in a past conversations, I'm a student of light, and I'm still a student of light, and I will be a student of light for the rest of my life, I think. So that's what I do mainly. And I work in my studio in Colombia, works in lighting projects for different fields, from hospitals, retail, hotels, public spaces, well, different kind of projects. But we can never take off our shirt of architect. I mean, the way the architect thinks about the space and how we face it it is impossible to separate it. So it's a kind of combination between interior design, lighting design, space design, architectural design, and all of them come in one place, in just one point at the same time that we're facing the new challenge of each project that we have here.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jorge. So I would like to be interested, and I would love everyone to know, having said that you are a lighting specialist and you are actually fascinated by light and its studies, can you tell us how did you decide? I mean, from moving from architecture to specializing in lighting, and what was your main inspiration to go into this field?
Well, I think I end up in this just by coincidence. I think so. Like many things that happens in life, I never think about it. I was living on the States and I was doing a lot of things, and when I moved back to Colombia back in 1999, I guess, um, I had a chance to have a teacher at the university that he was working on the Salt Cathedral here in Bogota.
Mhm.
Actually, it's a small city called Zipaquirá, close to Bogota.
Oh,
And they were doing some lighting practices over there. And they were doing like a real mock-up to see how light affects the stone and the salt and the appearance of materials. And they were playing with lights. Actually, was uh, was a plate of light. So during that process and during a photography course that I was taking a long time ago, we did samples with light and we tried to draw or paint with light from different sources using color papers, translucent and transparent papers. So working with light to take just some pictures. So what started at the beginning just like an experiment, like a very playful way to do some photographies by night.
mhm.
It really touched me, and I started working with a company that was one of the pioneers here in Colombia
Mhm.
uh, in the lighting industry. So I had a chance to work with them. I started learning more about light. So I said it's a coincidence of life. And but I think everything starts with the samples and the mock-ups that I saw a long time ago at the Salt Cathedral and with a couple of churches just doing photography. That's when light touched me, and I start this process.
Wonderful. I mean, how can someone be touched by light and then become a specialist in it? That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing once again. So my third question is that you are currently the director of Entreluz Studio in Colombia, as we mentioned before, which is an independent international design practice that explores light and darkness. So can you tell us why you decided to initiate your business in Colombia, and what are the challenges you faced at first when initiating your own business?
Okay, Entre Luz Studio is an independent firm.
Mhm.
And when I thought to be an independent as a neutral lighting designer, separate from lighting industry, it was one of the challenges because usually in my country, light has is more attached to industry, is more attached to the providers of fixtures, of lamps. So
Uh-huh.
so when they try to work in a project, but the main purpose is to sell a product because that's the normal thing to do in a business like that. One of the challenges as an independent designer is what the same word is not to depend of the lighting industry itself straight from the point of view that I want just to recommend the product that I manufacture or that I represent or the brand that I represent, but being neutral in the market and understand that there's a lot of nice brands, nice products, nice initiatives, but when you become in the right in the middle of the field,
Mhm.
is you have a thousand of possibilities of having what really the project needs and what the customer wants and the real exploration of solutions for the project. So the first thing that leads me to create Entreluz was how to collaborate with the market when we have to do some education in the lighting field. And it's a brand new thing in Colombia, especially, actually in South America and many countries. When we talk about light, is more related to electrical engineering, is more related to electrical design. But when we talk about light, one different thing is doing some specifications, doing some specs for the project, and then think about light like a real tool to create something, for people. So one of the thing is how to improve the market in Colombia, how to improve the quality of lighting spaces, and how to get involved lighting and the architect from the architectural point of view, which is one of the fields that is not taught at the university. It's like when we see the programs of the schools, when we see all the subject that you're going to see, lighting is not one of them. So my interest was create a studio that works as a laboratory, of light, as a real mock-ups, as a real experimentation place to talk about light and to touch light, feel light, experiment with light, draw light, express with light, and then in my city and in my country was not one of the topic that was really developed from the educational point of view and the professional point of view. That's why.
Wonderful. I mean, so you started something new and fresh and something for the people mainly. That is absolutely inspiring. Thank you for sharing again, Jorge. And my fourth question, which is the last in this segment, is what is one of your favorite projects that you have worked on in the lighting industry or in the lighting specialization? And what has been so special about that project?
Well, there are a lot of projects that comes to my mind through this many years, but if I think about one special project, I will say it is the Plaza de Bolivar. It's the Bolivar Square. It's one of the public spaces here in Bogota, which is the main square, not just Bogota, but in Colombia, where is located all the city hall, the main cathedral, the Palace of Justice, is the heart of everything. Is the heart of politics. Is the heart of laws. Is the heart of the people. Is the place where the people can express themselves. So the Plaza de Bolivar was a project. Well, actually, it is a project that is not built yet. It's on the process. But what is special is like one of the things that happen here is that when you have to deal with public administration, you face against a wall. So what I'm saying that is one of the projects that I remind the most and that I really love the most is because it is a challenge to change people way of thinking about public spaces. Is the public administration trying to change all the regulations where they block all the public projects and they convert just like a public lighting and general light, just like in a normal space, a usual space. So the Bolivar Square, which is the name of the project, La Plaza de Bolivar, has become one of the places where we can build city. We can renew and try to sample like a beautification of the city. And it's the challenge because it's not built yet. We're still fighting with public administration to build that project that is going to become certainly one of the most important projects here, I think, in Colombia when we talk about public space and public lighting. So it's not built yet, but it's been a challenge with all my team. We've been working for more than 2 years and it's still in the process. It's not built yet. And So the main challenge is to make it real.
Wonderful. For those of you who are not familiar with the Plaza de Bolivar, it's already shared in our chat for future references. So I'm going to move to my entertaining part, Jorge, and I would like you to provide us with one favorite quote of yours.
Okay. Less is more.
Wow, I love this. It's by Mies van der Rohe, for those of you who don't know, and it's a beautiful, beautiful quote. I mean, it applies to many things in life. I fully agree with you. So let's move to our second segment, which is your favorite part, light's influence on our cities and our lives. And my first question would be, you said that lighting shapes our cities and our lives. So how can you elaborate more on that?
Yes, when you said that the light shapes our cities, I would start saying that first shape of lives because we're made of light. When we talk about light, we don't talk about technical. We don't just talk about physical, like a physical phenomenon, but we talk about like a experience, like a human experience. So everything is about light. All the human evolution has been related with light. It was related to the fire. It was related to the first manipulation of a natural light source like fire. So everything on the human being, on the human evolution has changed to light.
Mm-hmm.
We are human beings made of light, night and day, dark and light. So when we think that how can light affect our lives, we need to start thinking from the first glimpse of light that you can see in the morning. And when you wake up and you open your eyes and you just have to look the world that surrounds you and understand that when it's sunny, your mood change. If it's a cold day, it's a gray day, something happened inside you. Someone very close to me told me that you can find in a sunny day or in a cloudy day beauty. It depends how you see it.
Yeah.
But when we talk about light, it really affects your emotions. When you talk about seasonal or positional disorders made of light, when you don't have enough exposure to sunlight, everything happening on your body. You have to understand how your body works, how your vision works. You talk about melatonin, you talk about cortisol, how to be awake, how to sleep, how to get relaxed, how to enjoy place. You want to have a nice dinner with some candles in a very cozy space. Everything is about light. It's like how you create a mood, how you create some scenes. And when you talk about lighting scenarios in architecture, everything is made of light. Le Corbusier, the famous French architect, said like architecture is all the volumes of the buildings, the shape of the buildings under the light. It is impossible to understand architecture if you don't talk about light and darkness. So when we talk about lives in city, it is impossible to create a difference. We are always doing something that affects the city. When we talk about lighting, we are affecting all the biological and circadian rhythms through life, night and day, public spaces, private spaces. There are people that is very sensitive to light, very sensitive to night light, or is very sensitive to daylight. So talking about light is day and night. And we live in 90% of the time in our lives, we live inside of the spaces. We live in interior spaces. So it's not impossible to complement daylight with artificial light without affecting our lives, without affecting our moods, without affecting our behavior. So that's basically what I really understand life as a tool to understand first human behavior, physical body responses to a stimulus, and of course is the main visual the main visual thing for us in an everyday life.
Wonderful. I love the philosophy and how the stimulus and all the nervous system comes in between. Absolutely wonderful. I mean, we can go on talking about it for days and years, and it's infinite. It's a lovely subject. Thank you for sharing, Jorge. My second question in this segment would be, when designing, whether in architecture or in any of its relatable fields, or in even in lighting, we aim to focus on the client, as you were saying, and how they feel, and everything that has to do with the human and the end user. However, somewhere in between, we aim to neglect their needs and their wants in the process, as you agree with me. So how do you think we can limit this from happening while designing?
Um, well, it's a hard question because we always need to start. My point of view is we always need to start with the customer needs.
Yeah.
We always need to start to think about people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call like humanization of the lighting design process.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do not design for the space itself.
Exactly.
We do not design just to create um, nice experiences and or nice views, or just to enlighten the space, the empty space. So when we think about people, we need to think, how are they going to involve with that space? What are they going to feel? So what are the basic needs of people when you're designing? It's not possible to create something if you don't understand all the requests for your customer, age, um, what family, all the things they like,
Mm-hmm.
all the things they don't like. Actually, it is very important to think about like visual, actual visual issues or visual problems that the people can have. And the other thing is what they expect for the project. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, why are they trying to hire you to work with you? So what is the challenge for the final project? So I think is one of the first thing is always to think about people, always to think about the consequences that with the thing that you're going to plan.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is not to be aware just about lighting regulations and just laws. We need to go back again to the beginning to where you think about light as a tool, so as a lighting as a design tool actually,
Mm-hmm.
and try to experiment. The thing with light is it is very nice because you just need a switch to turn it on and see the effect of what you have created, and touch the light and experiment with light is something that we have lost through these many years. We have something here in Colombia that is called Lab, which is the lighting regulation. And there are a lot of people that is just aware of the lighting levels required by the regulation. They just care about luxes. They just care about uniformity coefficient. They just care about UGR, uniform glare rating. And those are certainly um, facts that you must consider on the lighting design process, but those are not the most important. If you don't understand the people, if you don't understand what you're doing, and all the physical and psychological conditions that are involved in the project to create something, to create an experience, and human beings are not the same 2 days. I mean, tomorrow morning is going to be different than today's morning. What you're feeling today and the way you work, the way now that we're doing a lot of home office, all our lives have changed. Just set the mood, set the space to work on a computer, to have meetings from distance, to enjoy the view of the area where you are located. It's a matter of understanding position, quality, shadows, light, but we are just care about the amount of light, no, not just the lack of light. We're very aware that like darkness, and we talk about darkness like if it was dangerous, like a dangerous thing, not like light and shadow, light and darkness as like the yin and yang, like the two basic elements to create space. And that's what I'm saying. That is something that we need to understand first on the people we work with, and then expand all the possibilities and not having just one idea, but many others that can lead you to a different result, I think.
Wonderful. I mean, that must have been, uh, I mean, a good insight of how to deal um, with such users or such end users as well, or even clients at such a different field than ours, because you have to take into consideration the psychology, the mood, and the needs, the basic needs, as you were saying. I fully agree. And we have a comment on that actually, just not to miss the point. Eduardo is saying that this is challenging more than client needs, maybe the end user's needs, which is not necessarily the same. I mean, of course, sometimes the clients want something and the end user wants something else. If you'd like to comment, Jorge.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so off to my last question in this segment. How do you think lighting affects, sorry, I have one more question before. So in your field of work, you always try to bring in different aspects to come up with the best lighting solutions like sustainability, technology, and energy to come up with one product or one solution for a space in a project. So can you tell us how these aspects, they contribute to come up with the best solution or the best lighting options?
I think everything is a matter of the right balance of different aspects, as you mentioned, like sustainability, technology, energy. Uh, but there are so many others like experience, like human experience, like human perception, like visual performance,
Mhm.
like many others. So I think we have to like the world doesn't need more light. The world needs that probably we become more intelligent from the design part of view. So when we talk about sustainability, we do not talk about just products. We
Mhm.
talk about we don't talk about lighting power densities. We don't talk about watts per square meter. We talk about more than that. It's like light in the right time, at the right place, in the right form. So if you combine three of them and you think about how many aspects can influence the perception of the visual space and how many issues can affect what you're doing on the real work when you want to build a project. So you have to be aware of the technical part, you have to be aware of the aesthetical part, but you have to be also aware of the psychological part. So
Understood.
if you combine those three that I mentioned and many others, I think probably that will be the best solution. Something that I really I always share with my students on my team is there are so many ways to approach to one project, and there's not just one. There are so many. We try to choose one from all the choices that we're exploring. So we explore three, four, five times um, the options that we're trying to create for a project. And probably one of the solutions that we found is not necessarily the solution at the end. It's one of the process. We always learn through the process and do a lot of changes. And many of the projects, that when you have to take it to an end, you have to choose one. It's like, I know if it's the right one or not, but at the end you will see. But every time you face a project, probably you will face it with a new challenge, and you will do it in a different way. So the thing is not to be limited, explore, try to make the project real. And something that happened with lighting designer is like the lighting design cannot end up in the paper. It's like we do not design just for the papers. We do not design just to have those designs on a computer and a very nice rendering, but in the real life. So we need to get involved in the project and complement that design, building it and checking the lights and turning up the lights upside down or whatever you need, changing the light sources, exploring the distances, exploring, really touching the light. So one of the things that I really think that is a best for lighting options on a project is to try to take in consideration all the facts that can be involved in the project, like a checklist, and then check it through your design. And if you respond like that, and you respond, it's very responsive through all the questions that you set on the beginning of the project, probably it will come up into a nice result at the end.
Wonderful. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, Jorge, once again. Jorge, I'd like to ask you one final question in this segment. How can you achieve a good experience, lighting experience for users or for end users and for people using a space?
You mean from the mental health, from the
Psycho-
psychological state, or what?
psychological point of view, or from their mental health, how does it contribute to that? I mean, how do you create a psychological successful experience for these end users through light, of course?
Well, I think we need to manipulate light as we manipulate so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think is uh, when we talk about light, I think is like the quality of air. It's like temperature. Just to give you an example, what is good for me is not good for you. Probably I said something here in my office, and for me is cold. For someone else is very hot. For someone else is good. So when we think about light experience is not always the same for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that concept, we need to understand that we create some like neutral patterns for everyone. But but think about psychologically. I think from psychology point of view, I think it's very complex. I mean, you can change the mood of a person. You have to understand your own body functions and on your own body system. Just to give you an idea, just think every time you go for lunch, then you come back to your screen and work a few hours on your computer, and you start feeling kind of sleepy, or just think about it. It's just a natural physical process that affects your body, all the digestion process and all the production of melatonin that affects to do all your circadian rhythm and how to affect your body functions has to be with light. So production of cortisol that creates some different sensations from melatonin, so that activates your body, can lead you to a psychological state. It's like for relaxation, like for activation, like to just to enjoy the place.
Yeah.
When we talk about light, it's like you go to a place and you never know why are you feeling good. It's a matter of materials, it's a matter of colors, it is a matter of textures, it is a matter of light. And something that you can always describe makes you feel good. So light can make you feel good. Lack of good light or lack of good lighting quality can affect you psychologically because you don't feel comfortable on this place. So when you talk about visual comfort, that's one of the things that we need to think the most um, when you're facing a project and when you're talking about lighting effects.
I fully agree with you. I mean, light affects our mood greatly, especially the examples you've given at the workspace or at home. It's absolutely wonderful. So, off to my second entertaining pick and tick. And now I'd like you, Jorge, please, to provide us with one advice for future generations.
Um, well, I think that the future, an advice for future generations that get involved in lighting industry, actually, in like the lighting community, is never stop exploring the different possibilities that you can create with light, but never give up the main idea who you're working for. You're working for people. You're not working for robots. You are not working for the space itself. You're not
Mhm.
working just for architecture. You're designing for the people. So my recommendation will be think always about the people, think about the type of project you're doing and who's going to occupy that project, who's going to use that project. Think always about the end user that from my point of view actually is not the end user. I think it is the principal user, the first user, and the main purpose of your design.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing again. And I would just like to remind all of our attendees and our audience that if you have any Q&A, please go ahead. Your chance is now to place all your questions in the Q&A as we are heading to our last segment, Jorge, with two more questions to go and one more pick and tick. So my last two questions, and I'd start with the first one. So you call yourself the architect, an architect of light, and I love this entitlement. So, what, in your opinion, are the factors that can make any young architect or designer achieve such an entitlement, as it is a beautiful title to call yourself that?
Well, I think light is a mysterious medium.
Mhm.
Light is not static, it's ever changing.
True.
Artists and scientists are still trying to figure out what is energy, what is light, as a wave, as a pulse, and as a spectrum. So when we talk about like mankind has always been obsessed with timing the night and extending the day, from the firelight to the cave to the bright glare of different um, sources like LED, like digital age. So I
Mhm.
think light is so fundamental to everyone's experience of a space. And and so when we see the light not just a decorative factor or a luxury, so when we talk light like a human need, that is something for people, and is a shaper of their experience and has the power to change our perception of the world and can influence and the alter behavior and provides comfort, well-being, create focus, support activity, have gives space quality, and when we think about all the stuff, and I use light as a resource, as a tool to create something. That's what when I combine the word architect and light, an architect of light, because I found myself in a way of exploration without thinking about architectural conception and architectural perception, but light as a fundamental part of human creation, as a fundamental part of human perception and how to affect the human experience. So saying that I'm architect of light is because I think um, I can give some more of my experience touching the light, experimenting with light, working with a lot of architects, engineers, designers, artists, and give them a little bit of my perception to create something, to have a, not just a visual thing, but a psychological experience for people. So architect of light, I will say, because it has become a straight tool to um, to cross the borders just of space, I think.
Wonderful. So heading out of the box and exploring or experimenting should be
Yes.
out, yeah? Wonderful, Jorge. So my last question, unfortunately, moving forward, what advancements do you envision will be added to the lighting industry that most people should be aware of?
Um, well, I think technology has become a very important part of our lives. We talk about IoT, Internet of Things. We talk about sustainability. We talk about light consumption, energy savings, all the things that the people are aware now. When we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about connectivity from intelligent cities, smart cities, to smart everything, because everything now is smart. Your computer, your phone, your TV, uh, your lights, everything has become smart in this modern world that we are at the moment. But I think the thing is not about technology. The light industry has to be more conscious, not about just technology. When we talk about LED source, that wow, that is very, everybody is full aware of this at this moment. And when we talk about LED, probably is one of the technologies that has become to the very high quality color index reproduction, a very high quality efficiency when we talk about lumens and lumens per watts when we talk about consumption. So we are exactly at the I think at the top point of technology probably, and it will be more. We will have more on the years to become. But the thing is, my concept for the light industry is we need to go back to less. When you asked me first at the beginning, one of the quotes is less is more. I really think less light is more. We are wasting a lot of light in our buildings. We're wasting of light because we do not design good, because we do not hire the right person, the right people to be to have it in like part of our teams. So we have a lot of spill of light in our projects. We're not using the right technology sometimes. We're not placing the fixtures in the right way. We're not choosing the right things. And everything is commercial. And we are full of trash. We're full of trash when we talk about products. There's tons and tons of very low quality products, and the lighting industry is just based on price, and I don't want to pay anything. I don't want to pay you um, for your professional fees. I don't want to spend more doing something that is going to affect, because it's just a matter of money.
Mhm.
So the thing is, how can I build the project without spending a lot of money, because I want to save? And I think it's good from the construction point of view, but we need to be aware and we need to be smart. That thinking that how can light can affect the project from 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 different points of view. So the thing is, industry is just concerned in technology, uh, and technology just like a way to sell products, and they're not fully aware of what they're doing when they're affecting people. And so I would say the lighting industry has to become more aware of sustainability concepts and how to improve the quality of people by manufacturing good things. And there's a lot of nice and very committed products, manufacturers actually. But the thing is not about just the product, is how you use it. So we need to focus on education. Lighting industry has to support education. University has to support education to lighting subjects when you're in the school, and not just postgraduate, but undergraduate also. And how to incorporate this into educational programs, and so we can have engineers, architects, doctors, and different specialists that thinks about light, and not just from architectural um, way to see this, but like a human factor that is going to affect our lives. So the lighting industry has to be aware of support education, support more programs, and to teach the people, and actually the normal people, um, to understand that if they invest in light, they're investing in light, in quality of life. So it's like having nice food. If you buy a nice product, and it's a healthy product, so you're gonna have it in yourself. So I think is invest in lighting, is investing in your own experience and in your own body response to something.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you. I mean, Jorge, if someone wants to invest in something, they should actually be fully aware of what they are investing in. They should have the knowledge and the education for it. Wonderfully said. Thank you so much for sharing. And now I'm going to my favorite part, which is I will ask you to reflect on an image. And this image will be, drums, please. This one.
Okay.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, this is the AHBE lab. I will share the link shortly after your reflection.
What do I have to say?
Whatever.
It's a comment.
Just a reflection on an image.
Wow. Well, everything is in that image. Is there's light, there is shadows, darkness. Is that the music? Is that the place of We Can, right?
You can
The
write.
We Can building.
Sorry.
Is that the Louis Kahn architect project?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, it is.
Well, when you invite me to this, when you invite me to have this conversation, I remind that you have some. It's a very quotation that I would love to, if you can repeat it here. And do you have it in mind?
I will share it. Yeah.
Okay. Can you say it, please, before I said what I think?
Yes, of course, absolutely. Can you give me just 1 second, please?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so it's a quote that we shared by Louis Kahn, and the quote actually mainly says, we are born of light, the seasons are felt through light, we only know the world as it is evoked by light. And it's by the same architect who actually worked on this project, which is the AHBE.
Okay, good, thank you. There's In Praise of Shadows, it is a book. It's an essay of a Japanese author and novelist called Honichiro Tanizaki, and it's been translated into many languages. And when he talked about light and shadow, it is impossible not to think in both. It's not impossible to think in light without the shadow and without the concept of darkness. So when I see your image, I think it's a matter of the combination and the balance. And I see a space that is moving to natural light the whole day. All those round gaps, those round circles in the middle of the corridor can change from the morning to afternoon or night. And that space can be, it has to be changing all the time because of the probably sunlight that creates some patterns on the floor. So when I see that black and white picture, I just feel like the combination of darkness, light, shadows, we create rhythm, we create a pattern through materials. And actually, if you see the real one, where you see the colors of the brick
Yes.
and the reflections on natural light on that brick that creates some very warm and nice colors through materials. So I will say that that is everything. I will say that is a nice combination, probably of artificial light. We don't see it in that picture, but it's probably a nice combination of natural and artificial light. The right balance and those huge gaps that takes you to the exterior point of view of that space and connect yourself from the interior to exterior. So light as a connection, natural light as a natural human connection through space and nature.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jorge, once again. Beautiful reflections, beautiful insights. Are you ready for our audience questions? We have quite a few, so we will just start answering those. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
So our first question is from Umayma. Umayma, hello and welcome with us. Umayma
Hello,
is so she says that she loves this topic, linking light to the circadian rhythm. I heard that light at dawn before sunrise has a specific frequency and light is different all through the day in the way it affects people. Which is the best light and time if day for the people to experience? I mean, what is the best light and time that day for people to experience?
Well, it depends of what you're doing. It depends of the task. There's not a specific time of the day where the light becomes because, well, it is done. It is changed by the location where you're located. It's different, like northern lights if you're in Norway or if you're here in the tropic in Colombia or you're in Qatar. So the natural light reflects different because the lighting factor is quite different depending on the place. So my answer is, I think there's no one specific time of the day, and the light changes, the color temperature changes today. And when we talk about light scales and when we talk about the actually the light frequency that affects our body, it's more related to circadian rhythm. Something happens in different hours of the day. If you wake up at 4 in the morning, there are some physical changes that are happening in your body. So the light can affect yourself. The quality of light, the amount of light, the color temperature of light, and the spectral spectral composition of light can affect you. So it depends of the task. It depends of what you're doing. It depends on the human condition and the visual condition that you're exposed to.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jorge. We have another question. What type of lights are best to use at home at different times of the day? Perhaps one should have adjustable lighting systems?
Well, that's a very nice question because adjust the light, the amount of light, dim the light is one of the coolest thing, I think, because it gives you the chance to change the scenario, to create some scenes. So warm light is very nice when we talk about cozy and comfort spaces. So warm lights give you relaxation. Warm light create a nice mood, create a very soft and comfortable visual environment. But we need to combine it because when we're doing some home office, for example, and you go to have to activate yourself and go to computer, to your laptop, and you have to settle down all the conditions to work, to write, to read, so you can adjust a little bit the lights, not necessarily by changing the color temperature if you don't have that technology in your house, but just to project some indirect light. Just place the light, put it upside down, put it into the wall, put it behind, put it in front. Just try to redirect the light probably to the ceiling. Use some papers, use some different materials to create patterns, but always change it. Change the space, change the light configuration to the space, and make your home very comfortable. But think about the task you're doing. If you want to have a, if you want to write, probably the conditions of light and the amount of light you will need will have to increase a little bit depending on your age and or your visual condition. But play with light. My recommendation is play. Don't let the light be always the same. Don't let the light to settle always in the same point. Play it, change it, move it, cover it, create everything that with the things that you have, with the lamps that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing once again, Jorge. Just a note for our audience, for those of you who are asking about the book that Jorge mentioned, already Eduardo shared which book was that by Tanizaki, and I'm sharing now also the link for it just for your information. It's a beautiful book. Jorge shared all about it with me yesterday, and it's absolutely amazing. So we have another question. Do you it's from Gori. He or she is asking, do you consider using solar energy, which we get from the sun, which is never-ending source of light? And can you share your thoughts on the conservation of energy in lights?
Well, well, sure. I think we need to be aware of all the new technology, will solar panel systems and all the energy savings. Is like all we can do, all the things that we can do for our planet, or the thing we can do for the sustainability concept in our cities, in our homes, is always welcome. So we have solar panels, and it's a kind of brand new technology, and it's been developed through the past 20 years, but probably now it's on the top of the moment and is commercialized in a different way, is more affordable and accessible for people. So the thing is, yes, I would say try to always save whatever you can do it, but think what is the main purpose, because you're saving and you're saving some energy, you're saving some light to solar panels, yes, but how are you going to use it? The point is, how are you going to spend that amount of energy that you save? So be fully aware of how to use it, because the thing is, that's just a technology to provide energy, to save energy consumption, yes, but if you're going to misuse that energy that you save during the day by spilling the night to night, by throwing out the amount of light and the amount of energy that you save during the day by using a bad fixture, that by placing, by throwing out the light to the skies and contribute to light pollution, well, it doesn't make any sense to do all those savings if you're not going to preserve the darkness by night and you're not fully aware of light pollution in our cities.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Jorge. We have another question. If given the chance to create a public art piece to tell the story of light, what would it be? Wonderful question.
Well, say it again. That's very profound.
If given the choice to create a public art piece to tell the story of light, what would this art piece be?
Well, I would just place a couple of logs of fire logs in the middle of the road, and I start the fire. That's
Wonderful.
it.
That's so
I would
raw.
just say it's a fire like the Olympics flame that never ends up. So the thing is, I will create a piece of fire that never ends, that always is functioning, I think. So I will create a flame, and my reflection is the evolution of the human species is related to fire. So when we talk about natural sources like the sun or like the moon, actually, when we talk about moonlight, actually by night, which is just the reflection of the sun, is pretty much the same. But our inspiration is always created by natural patterns of light. We always are inspired by daylight. We always be inspired by dusk and dawn. That's it. So I will just create a piece of fire to remind the fragility of life and to remind that we come from that past evolution of thousands of years, and we're just trying to copy that natural source.
Beautiful. I mean, so simple and so straightforward, just a simple fire, which is where light started from mainly. Thank you again, Jorge. Our last question for the night from our audience. So, you as an architect with basic knowledge of light, what is your recommendation where to start from learning about light and lighting? So, having a course about lighting in architecture, reading on the internet, or having a master in lighting, any architecture, any literature, sorry, that you would recommend for beginners in this field? Thank you.
Wow, today the lighting community has grown a lot. So there are so many resources now. There's master degree programs. There are some diploma short courses of light. On the internet, we have a lot of literature. You go to the um, CEE. Oh, I will write it down. Just a minute.
Okay.
CIE. So the CIE is the Comisión, is the International Commission of Lighting, Comisión Internacional de Éclairage, and so there's a lot of material. The IES, which is the Engineering Society, the ESNA, Electrical Engineering Society of North America. So they have a lot of literature. So from private organizations, from the lighting community, lighting organizations, through some universities, a lot of lighting faculties and for architecture and engineering. So there's a lot of programs. The thing is, just place the word light education, light industry, lighting programs, and you will find on the internet a lot of things. There are fairs, there are short courses, there are webinars, there are um, web presentations. So my recommendation is just to give the first step. I mean, everything is created now. There's a lot of literature. There's very nice programs all around the world. It's becoming more popular. It's becoming more important at the moment. The people is getting fully aware of the importance of light now. So they have created a lot of new programs. So I will say the thing is just um, go to the internet, go to whatever you need, and there's a lot of books. I just can recommend just one. I mentioned the
One by Tanzaki.
yeah, the Tanizaki, but there's a lot of very nice people around the world that have been explored this. So the first step is the hardest one. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jorge. I mean, it's been a wonderful night. It's been a combination of philosophy, of psychology, and about the depths of light that we didn't know of before. Thank you so much for being with us tonight and for sparing some time. And thank you for our audience for joining us. Jorge, if you have anything to say before we close off, please go ahead.
Yes, I want to just share my screen a little bit to show you something.
Of course.
Do you see it?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. La luz es como el agua. Is light is like water. It's a text from the Nobel Prize, the Colombian Nobel Prize, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I just want to close like this: is like the water is basic for human beings. It's basic for our lives. Light is basic for our lives, and at the same time that we use water to feel good, to live, to prepare our food, our daily basis. Light is a daily basis too. And it's a short story. Everyone that has the chance to read it, probably can be translated into English. I will check it and I will send it to you in case someone wants it. It's a very short story about the Nobel Prize, but my reference is light is like water, and we can we can use it, we can manipulate it, we can actually we need it. It's part of our daily living. And well, thank you very much for the invitation. It is a pleasure to talk about light. Uh, it's not always about poetics. When we work in our projects, we need to actually work on metrics. We need to work about uh, Revit. We talk about BIM projects and building information modeling and techniques and all the stuff. And actually, that's one of the things we do in our studio. But I really want to thank you the opportunity, because when we talk about light, we need to go back to the beginning. We need to go back to the poetics of light. And that's one of the things that we have lost through these many years. We talk about lighting just as a product, just as a, but the state of art is different. Light is more than a product. Light is more than an effect. That's it.
Thank you so much again, Jorge. It's been a pleasure having you with us, talking about something that we did not explore before or understand well. Thank you guys for being with us, and stay tuned for our upcoming episodes of AAT. Just remember that it's going to be on the 1st and the 3rd. So we will meet you on the 21st of August, and see you all then. Jorge, we wish you a very happy day and a blissful day. Thank you so much again for being with us, and have a good night.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Chief. Thank you. And thank you for everyone to having me here today.
Of course, it's our pleasure. See
Best
you.
of luck. See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.